Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. Damian Priest recently opened up about what he believed was the most villainous moment in WWE history. He recalled watching a current top superstar kiss Stephanie McMahon in front of Triple H. In 2009, the Game and the Viper had a heated feud. The latter made it personal with Triple H in one of the segments when he handcuffed him to the ring rope before delivering a DDT to his wife, Stephanie McMahon, who had rushed to help the current chief content officer. As the billion-dollar princess lay on the mat, Orton kissed her on the lips under her husband's eyes. During a recent episode of WWE Pop Question, Priest picked that segment as the most villainous moment in the Stamford-based company's history. The former World Heavyweight Champion described that moment, stating that it was by far the wildest thing, man, when Randy Orton DDT'd Stephanie and Triple H was handcuffed and she was laying there unconscious. We know what he did, and we saw Triple H's reaction after. That was by far the wildest thing, he said. From 440 to 455, Stephanie McMahon is no longer in WWE while Randy Orton is still an active competitor in WWE. Triple H currently leads the creative process. Meanwhile, Stephanie McMahon is no longer with the company after resigning from her position as chairwoman and co-CEO last year. Despite her departure, the billion-dollar princess has made multiple appearances at WWE shows this year, including WrestleMania and SummerSlam. Her husband, Triple H, recently provided an update on her status during the SummerSlam post-show press conference. She, Stephanie McMahon, does not have an official role right now, but I can tell you this. She loves this. Absolutely loves it. She's enjoying watching it. She's enjoying coming to the show. She's enjoying seeing everybody in the back. She loves it. If I'm the little kid booking or writing or however you want to say it, she's sitting there right next to me, a little kid enjoying it and loving it. It's been her whole life since she was little. No official role right now. Right now her official role is she's enjoying our kids getting too old too fast. But we'll see what the future holds. H/T, Wrestle Talk, wrestling legend Kevin Nash recently claimed it is unlikely that Stephanie would return to the company in an on-screen role because she is busy being a mom. It would be interesting to see if the billion-dollar princess will ever return to TV. Damian Priest leaned back in his chair, his eyes wide with disbelief as he recounted one of the most surreal moments he'd ever witnessed in WWE. For a man who had seen his fair share of chaos, backstabbing, and wild antics inside the squared circle, this moment still stood out. It was the wildest thing I've ever seen, he said, shaking his head. And trust me, I've seen some wild stuff in this business. The interviewer leaned forward, clearly intrigued. So, what happened? How did it all go down? Priest chuckled, as if still trying to wrap his head around it. It was during a live show, right after the main event. Everyone was backstage, just hanging out and cooling down. You know how it is after the adrenaline of a match. The atmosphere is usually pretty relaxed. But then, this moment, it changed everything. He leaned forward, his elbows resting on his knees, as if reliving the tension of that night. So, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon were there, just like always. They're royalty in WWE, so their presence is normal. But this time, something was different. One of the top stars at the time, someone who was riding high, started getting a little too comfortable with Stephanie. Priest paused, letting the gravity of the situation sink in. Everyone knew the relationship between Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. They were not just business partners, but a power couple in the wrestling world. Crossing that line was career suicide, or worse. But the top star didn't seem to care. This guy, let's just say he had confidence for days, Priest continued. He was on a winning streak, main eventing pay-per-views, and clearly, he thought that status made him invincible. We all thought it was just playful banter at first. You know, wrestlers messing around, maybe trying to get a reaction out of people. But things escalated. Priest's eyes flickered with a mix of amusement and astonishment. Next thing I know, this dude leans in and kisses Stephanie McMahon. Right there. in front of Triple H. The interviewer gasped, clearly taken aback by the revelation. No way. What was Triple H's reaction? Priest let out a low whistle, shaking his head. You can imagine. I mean, at first, no one really believed what they were seeing. There was this collective gasp from everyone in the room. It was like time stood still for a second. Then, we all turned to look at Triple H. The moment was seared into Damian Priest's memory, the calm before the storm. Triple H stood still, his expression unreadable, which was almost more terrifying than if he'd reacted immediately. Everyone knew what the game was capable of when provoked. You could see the muscles in his jaw tense up, Priest continued. But he didn't move. He just stood there, watching, waiting. And that, man, that was scarier than anything I've ever seen in the ring. The room backstage had been silent, the tension palpable as the top star backed away from Stephanie, realizing the gravity of his mistake. But it was too late. The damage was done. It was like everyone was waiting for Triple H to explode, Priest said. And trust me, everyone in the business knows that when Triple H gets mad, you don't want to be anywhere near him. But for some reason, he didn't. He just kept watching, like he was planning something. For a brief moment, it seemed as though the top star might get away with it. Stephanie McMahon, ever the professional, laughed it off, trying to ease the tension in the room. But even she knew the gravity of what had just occurred. She played it cool, Priest said. I'll give her that. She laughed, tried to brush it off like it was no big deal. But Triple H? He didn't take his eyes off that guy for a second. The entire backstage area had been buzzing with nervous energy, everyone waiting to see what Triple H would do. The top star, for all his bravado, suddenly looked a lot less confident. And that's when I knew something was coming, Priest said, a small smirk playing on his lips. You could see it in Triple H's eyes. He wasn't going to let this go. In the days that followed, rumors swirled throughout WWE. Some said Triple H had pulled the top star aside for a private conversation. Others claimed there had been a closed-door meeting with Vince McMahon himself. Whatever happened behind the scenes, one thing was clear, the top star's career trajectory took a sharp turn. It's like he disappeared, Priest said. 1 week, he's headlining shows, and the next, he's barely on TV. It was like he'd been erased from the main event scene overnight. Priest leaned back again, a satisfied grin on his face. It just goes to show, no matter how big you think you are in WWE, there are some lines you don't cross. And kissing Stephanie McMahon in front of Triple H? That's one of those lines. The interviewer sat back, still processing the story. So, what happened to the star after that? Priest shrugged. He's still around, but he never really bounced back. I mean, he's still a big name, but he's not where he was before that night. It's like he lost all the momentum he had. The interviewer chuckled. I guess that's a lesson for everyone in WWE, huh? Priest nodded. Yeah, respect the business, respect the people in it, and definitely don't kiss the boss's wife. Especially when the boss is standing right there. As the interview wrapped up, Priest couldn't help but think back to that night. In a business known for its over-the-top drama and larger-than-life moments, it was a reminder that sometimes the most unforgettable moments happened behind the scenes. And that, Priest said with a final chuckle, was definitely the wildest thing I've ever seen.